Now, Saturn re-enters its own sign on July 1st, and that is Capricorn, right? Saturn rules Capricorn. So not only does it make a close alignment with Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn, it also makes a quincunx to the North Node in Gemini. So let's talk a little bit about Saturn. So the alignment with Jupiter and Pluto in Capricorn is not a new one, because we've already experienced it back in February and March of 2020. And this trio will now travel together until the end of the year. So this indicates that we might want to take a closer look at our inner processes around self-responsibility, our trust in our own authority, and our attitude towards our own limitations and those of society. And so this rare alignment occurs only once every 735 years. Yes, you heard me, 735 years. That's a long ass time. And 2020 is one of those years where these three planets come together. So this marks the ending of an era that began in 1284 and the birth of a new paradigm with respect to our social structures. How do we live as society? What's important? How do we interact socially with each other? What are those social structures? Who holds the power? How do we deal with our resources? Now, transition times can be challenging, meaning that, we're starting a new phase as a collective, as on this planet, right? We're starting a new phase. So that means we're in a transition time right now, and that can be challenging. So as we're in transition time, it requires a letting go and a grieving of the past. But the rewards of the new era will outweigh the loss that some of us might be experiencing during this time. So not everybody, of course, is going to be experiencing the transition in the same way, but we will definitely all feel it on some level. And it requires that we allow ourselves to be really present with ourselves, to let go of the old, of the toxic, and that we grieve anything that's outlived its need for the new place that we're going into, and to trust. It's so important that, I know I've said this before in other videos, it's so important that we trust this process. We are in transition. Trust that we're going to a place that will open us to something new, that will give us something that will be even better than what we've experienced up until now. And I'm not saying it's going to be a fairy tale, of course not, because transition means that it's going to be rocky and it's going to be difficult at times. It's not going to be a fairy tale, but we will move more and more into a place that promotes heart opening, that promotes connection, that promotes interconnectivity for the whole planet, oneness for the whole planet. We're moving into that direction. I'm not saying we're going to be there. We're moving in that direction. So ask yourself, what is my relationship to power? Because power is very much something that is part of the transformation that needs to take place, is how do we connect to power? What does that mean for me personally? Do I distinguish between power that comes from within versus power that is connected to the external components, including people out there in the world? And do I feel empowered around how I choose to contribute to society and the world? Do I feel empowered? Do I feel I have the ability to empower others? That's another good question. Now, do I feel comfortable with the social structures that are currently in place and with the limitations they bring? And where do I feel most restricted at this time? Does this bring up resistance in me? And if so, could I let go of my resistance just for this now moment? Just for right now? Could I surrender my fears and concerns 5% more every day around what is and what might be? And whenever I ask these questions, it's just, it's just an invitation to use the questions in your meditations or in your journaling or in your own process that you're going through for the next 6 months. It's just an invitation. If you don't like the questions and if you feel the questions are not useful, then definitely don't use them. But if you do find that there's something in it for you that supports you and that helps you, these questions are just there so that you can align yourself more beautifully with what the energies are currently trying to teach us and how they're trying to guide us. Because remember, the planetary energies are just a representation of what's going on already. So we don't want to fight that. We don't want to go against that. We don't want to resist what is, because it's already happening. What we do want to do is we want to align ourselves and to breathe love and compassion and acceptance into the current situation. And by doing that, whatever is unfolding is going to be unfolding into a much higher vibration. When we don't do that, then whatever is unfolding has the tendency to move in a much denser way, and the evolution will still happen, but it will happen much, much slower. So the question is, how do we want to move with this? Do we want to move with this really, really slowly and painfully, and do we want to experience more suffering? Or do we want to experience this moving in a much gentler, much more swift way towards the higher vibrations of things? And of course, the answer for most of us will be the latter, right? But we have to do our part. And in order to do our part, it's important to be in alignment from an open-hearted place, not from a fearful place. Now, feel free to also read my article about the Saturn-Pluto alignment in Capricorn and the article about the Jupiter-Pluto alignment in Capricorn, which are both available on my website. I will put links below this video as well, so you can just click on those. And I also have a short video about the retrograde Saturn-Jupiter-Pluto lineup also on my website. So feel free to watch that as well. There will be a link underneath this video for that too if you need a reminder. Now, the Quincunx to the North Node in Gemini shows some internal struggle. Or we may feel conflicted with something. We're feeling internal pull in some very different directions. So really being honest about our limitations, whether they're personal or collective, slowing things down and getting really focused on what works and what doesn't on a very practical level is going to be important. But then we also want to share ourselves full out in the world, stay open-minded, stay adaptable, and connect to others as much as possible. So you can see these are very different energies, and so we might have to kind of like dance with these energies so we can connect to both of them. Maybe not exactly at the same time, but just being able to learn what that feels like for us internally to move with those two energies. Now, honesty is crucial here, especially with ourselves. Inner awareness is also crucial to deep self-honesty and authenticity. So what you want to ask yourself here is, how might I honor the limitations I have myself and the limitations others have while staying connected and open-minded? And of course, the North Node in Gemini is inviting us to make an effort, a real effort to stay open-minded, to stay adaptable, to stay, fluid with thoughts, with information, with inner dialogue, to not get rigid about anything. Now, because Saturn and the North Node are both in 29 degrees as well, which is an exalted degree, we're really feeling that aspect quite strongly. Remember that 29 degrees is a very powerful degree. So one thing that I just want to say, that if you're watching this after June 30th, you do have until July 9th at midnight to sign up for the next forecasting forum with the early bird special. That is available. Please note that we will take a look at the Mercury and Chiron Station phases on July 12th. We will also talk about Chiron's retrograde phase in Aries, which will start on July 11th until December 15th. And we will also talk about Mercury's direct motion, because Mercury will end its retrograde phase. And we will talk about the post-shadow phase in Cancer which will be from July 12th until the 26th. So if you want to know how this is going to impact you personally, join me live, or you can also sign up for the MP4 video presentation if you can't make it that day. And other than booking a reading with me, this is definitely the highest level of support that I offer. And it's only $37 for the 90-minute webinar. Sometimes we even go longer than 90 minutes because I'm also answering questions for people. So it's really a fantastic way to connect with me. And with the early bird special, it only comes to $32. Now, if you like to join live, please keep in mind that registration will close an hour before the live event begins. And if you register after 10:30 a.m. on July 12th, you will receive an MP4 video presentation of the webinar. Now, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate all of you. If you have any questions about any membership functions, if you have any questions about the monthly forecasting forums, about the soul-based astrology courses, about astrology in general, then please don't hesitate to reach out to me at info@astrologercoach.com. Any personal questions, please ask them during the monthly forecasting forum on July 12th, or you can also book a one-on-one reading with me at any point. There are lots of different options available for that, so feel free to look at that on my website. All right, much love to all of you. Namaste. Have a good one. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay safe, stay healthy. Much love.